I'm Justin Davis, and this is Joe Camp's RC. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Justin Davis, and I'm here for another review today. I have something new from a company called HOBBYMATE. This is the Meteor 5. It's a 5-inch race class drone with a stretch X Performance style frame on there. It is 5mm arms and they are replaceable. You have an aluminum cage up top with a flat spot for your GoPro or action cam, and it has a sort of horizontal, slightly vertical type of mount off the back for the antenna, which I like a lot. They're paying attention to the community. They're not putting it on the top. You do have a spot for the top, but I'm not going to recommend that. But you may have noticed that this company also made the popular D6 Duo Pro charger. It has dual ports in the front. It's portable. You can also charge it on the bench. It has dual options on the back right there for AC or your XT60, which is really, really rad. And it has a DC-in on this side up to about 30 volts. So put your 4S 16,000 on there and run this baby out in the field and charge your 4S 1300s. Because remember, you're only topping off your 1300s out there. So you don't need a lot of milliamp to sink back into a 1300 and get it racing again. But we're going to talk more about this quad. Also, I want you to comment down below because we're giving away that Tiny Hawk and the Mephisto on the channel. Get a chance to win those. And if you like the videos, if you like the honest to goodness reviews on my channel, please help me out and join me on Patreon. We have an awesome community and it's growing a lot. Lately this month, we're all interacting behind the scenes. We're talking on Discord and we have all kinds of people asking questions, and I'm there to answer them. Or you can message me personally, which is really, really awesome for one-on-one tech support. So $1 a month or more, it really does help out the channel and it helps you as well. So let's go ahead and go outside now. Let's fly the Meteor 5 and we'll come back in. We'll take a little closer look at this new race quad from HOBBYMATE. Here we go, guys. So we're going to show you how this flies line of sight. Here we go. That's the punch out. Free fall. Coming back hot. Don't fly over your head. Not a good idea. How many spins do we do that time? Looking good. Very, very nice. Wow. Little rainbows here. Man, it's really overcast right now. Kind of hard to see this guy. I got 5150 props on here. Flying pretty smooth. It's a really narrow chord prop and it is really efficient as well. It doesn't have a whole lot of punch like a lot of thicker props. I usually run a thicker prop if I'm wanting to have more punch for freestyle. But I feel like these props need less tuning. So if you get a brand new quad and it has a lot of issues with tuning, start out with a 50-51 prop. Or the 5150, and you'll have a nice flying quad. Unless they just didn't give you any tune at all. But Betaflight usually cleans it up pretty good, even with the default PIDs. It's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and do some FPV with this guy. I think you're gonna be impressed with the flight characteristics. Here we go. All right, let's get the HOBBYMATE Meteor 5 off the ground. Let's fly this baby and let me show you how it does out in this big field. I have a whole lot of different types of obstacles around here to fly. We're going to do a little bit of freestyle. We're going to do a little bit of proximity, sort of, semi what you would consider racing, but not really. We're just going to go around some poles, but we're trying some freestyle and it's checking out in the freestyle department. These 5150s are performing nice. They're a little bit lower end prop. They don't have as much of a wide chord, so I'm going to get a longer flight time. I should get well over 3 minutes with a 1300 battery. You can run this one on 4 and 5S. If you're going to race, I suggest putting a 5S battery on this and doing the best you can on the course. It's going to give you more maneuverability. It's also going to give you a better throttle adjustment. When you go to punch out, you're going to really drag through those straight strips. And one of the nicest things about this quad that I really like is the fact that they did put a Foxeer Aero Pro on there, because I just flew that same camera this week, the mini version of it, Beautiful camera. It looks great. It has almost as good color as my GoPro there, but great even on the overcast day. So right now it's wintertime and I need a good camera out there. You don't need to be flying a crap camera right now with overcast skies, because everything's going to look dark, like the old immersion RC cameras. Donkey cam, not that great. When you turn back around toward a cliff, everything looks dark, and you need to see darks and lights. When you go under the shadows, you need to be able to see in the shadows, especially if you're racing or playing around freestyle near trees like this. But you can see this camera is really nice, and also I'm starting to feel the power a little bit now in the motors. And I want to talk about motors a little bit, because you know what? If you're flying a crap motor, it will do a couple things for you. Not perform very well for a very long time, and it will crap out on you. So notoriously, bad motors, bad coils, you get what you pay for with motors. So they put a little more expensive motor on this quad, and you're seeing a better result for the performance out of this quad because of that. A little bit better magnets. If you use cheap magnets, they break up. I've seen them actually break apart inside motors, and all of a sudden I thought I had sand in my motor, but I actually had broken magnets. So you want to use a nice solid magnet, nice thick copper coils inside the stator, and everything is tightly wound and looking good in this motor. Also, open bottom motor design is another nice way to reduce weight on this quad, and this one does fall into sort of close to what we would consider a featherlight, ultralight category. I'm just going to do a little flip over that tree, back out into the field for some more proximity. It really does well down low, and with the 5150 props on here that we're using today, this guy is feeling nice and subtle but powerful. And the 5150 prop is going to give you a nice tune fly for your maiden. If you want to start out with a 5150 and move up to something thicker with a thicker cord like I've talked about before for more punch out, you can do that. If you're racing, you can go bi-blade props, or you can try a little thicker cord for better punch out performance. But I'm feeling it now, and my first battery is almost done, and I'm about to plug in another battery, but just a little quick little tree loop there, back around the field, and I'm feeling really loose with the quad now. So I'm gonna do a little split S over the overhang and back through, and now I'm gonna start on my second battery for you guys. And the way I'm doing it today, the format of this review, is just to let this footage run. We're just gonna let it run. I'm not gonna edit it. I'm not gonna show you all the highlights from the quad review, but I want you to see what this quad flies like. What I was really impressed with was the fact that there was almost zero prop wash in some of the maneuvers that I'm doing. Really hard turns like that, didn't see a lot of prop wash or jitter, which is a really good sign. It tracks really well straight along your straightaways. And the greatest thing is that I love this camera. You can really see the ghost branches really well. I'm able to even get in there pretty close to some of those trees and get away with a lot, because I can actually see with this, and the VTX is performing awesome. So I have almost no static right now. I'm also rocking that new Foxeer little sort of patch antenna they have out. I don't know what the name of it's called, but I'll get it for you later because we're going to review that as well. I'm coming back in a little bit closer, and I just wanted to just kind of, I'm not really ripping right here, but I'm just kind of going around these two poles right here, doing a couple of figure eights before we come in and land this one. And I also did durability test on this today for you guys. So yeah, I crashed it over into some trees on the far left hand side of the field, slam dunked it, and the good news is that nothing was broken on there. My GoPro flew off about 10 feet away from the quad, which I am going to paint orange because I almost lost it yesterday, as you guys saw, and I almost lost it again flying this quad. But look at this, it tracks really well, it's fast. It's a solid performing quad, and I think it's worth the money. If they would provide some type of coupon, I think that would probably be a little bit better deal. But everything that they included on the quad is a pretty high-end component. The F4 flight controller with Omnibus F4 on board, that firmware is nice in Betaflight, and it flies good on 3.5. So as you can see, no vibrations. They have what appears to be some type of pre-tested factory tune. That means they flew it in China before they actually sent it over to the US for us to fly. And hopefully the same exact PIDs are on the one you get, because if it is, it'll fly like this. And it's looking pretty good. So I'm probably going to bring it back over now, and we're going to land it. We're going to go back into the studio. We're going to put this one on the bench, and we're going to take a little closer look at the components on this quad. I think you're going to like the frame as well. The frame is just looks like a sports car. It looks really, really awesome. So I will see you in the studio in just a minute. Thanks for flying with me. Okay, that was a lot of fun to fly. What did you guys think? What's your opinion? Make a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this quad. I would not run this quad on 6S until I talk to HOBBYMATE and I find out if these motors are rated for it, and if this Omnibus F4 classic flight controller on here can handle it. Some of the flight controllers cannot. You will brown them out, you'll burn them up. So you want to make sure that you have the right voltage going to your flight controller and that you don't snap it. The worst thing that can happen when you get a brand new race quad is take it out, plug in the wrong battery, and fry what you have just bought. This one's around the $239 price point on their website right now. I'm looking at it, and it is a really cool StretchX quad. It's one of those quads that earlier this year I would really like to have had in my hands, just because it looks bomber tough and it looks really streamlined. The profile of it is really narrow. We have that sort of micro cam style mount. You see that the flight controller, the VTX and stuff sticks out the side right here, and that worried me a little bit, but I didn't have any issues crashing. I also like the fact that they did a flat top up here, and we can choose to put some type of mount, change that angle a little bit, but you're going to have to use some type of TPU mount to get a little more angle out of this, because unless you're racing at a really low angle right here, I'm just going to bend this down a little bit to match that angle even closer. Maybe this might be like 15 degrees right here from if you had your GoPro mounted right here. So one thing to think about if you're getting this one, make sure you find a TPU couch that will give you the amount of tilt that you want in regards to your camera. So you want your camera, your FPV camera, and your GoPro match up with the angle. Otherwise, you're going to get weird stuff. But I do like their choice of motors. They have HOBBYMATE branded RC N powers, and these are 2306 motors. They are a little higher on the KV, so that's one of the reasons why I didn't run it on 6S. I did test it on 4 and 5S for you guys, and it absolutely rips on 5S. So if you're looking for a 5S beast, this is an easy matchup. All you really have to do is take your XM Plus, wire it up. 3 wires on this quad will make this thing fly on S-Bus, and an XM Plus will actually go out there a pretty good distance. I did the arm mount style. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. It just depends on the layout. If I can get my receiver a little bit closer to the back end of the quad, I'll do that. Otherwise, if it's up top, sometimes I'll just run them out the top. Either way you want to do that, you have the option on this particular quad. But you do have 4-in-1 35 amp ESCs down at the bottom here, and I believe those are called the Typhoon. And let's just do a quality check. Let's check out the QC on this quad. Let's go a little bit closer. Look at the solder joints on the ESCs coming, or the motor wires coming to the ESCs right there. These are nice and shiny, so I do see a pretty high construction quality. And in the very back here where the battery leads come out, yeah, I used a zip tie here as well to keep this from getting pulled. That looks nice and shiny in there. I really like this carbon back here that holds our antenna on that sort of semi-horizontal mount situation back there. That's not going to be likely to break off. That is a really good design. They used an MMCX connector on the VTX. It sticks out the side a little bit, so I might take a point off for that. Maybe it should be turned this way, but the problem with that is that you need to be able to get to where your button is to change channels, and I'm not seeing, there it is, it's over on this side right here below that. So if that was up front, that might be a little bit hard to get to. This needs to be on the side right here to access it, to be able to change your bands, channels, and power levels. Now here is your USB port for Betaflight. You have the latest Betaflight on here. For me it was 3.5, which I'm happy about, and this is also a really nice camera. I've just recently talked about the Foxeer Aero Pro, and I love this camera. It looks really, really nice. I had the mini version, and now on this one I tested the micro version. So both versions of that camera are also really awesome. 600 TVL, but you do have different scenes that you can go in and change. And they have a little connector down here. You see that right there? You can go in with a little joystick and change up the scene settings, or you can take the on-screen telemetry on and off, which is a really nice option for Foxeer cameras. But everyone loves Foxeer cameras, so if you're just brand new getting into this, take this advice. buy something Foxier, you're gonna love it. But I do like the design of the frame. I think they did a great job. I do like the ends of the arms, very simple 3-bolt design with a little hook on the end of it there, and very narrow from front to back, which lightened this quad up a lot. Nice flat plate on the bottom with recessed hardware. That is really professional of them to do that. I've seen a lot of junky quads lately with all kinds of bolts sticking off the bottom, and it doesn't give you that bottom mount option. It does have plenty of space underneath the ESCs right here to run any type of strap through, and you also have two extra holes here, one here and one here, if you actually want to thread your strap through the frame, which is also a really nice option they gave us. And you know what? I tried a few different styles props with this quad, and these are some of my favorites. They are very low pitch, very, very narrow props. They always look super sharp on the channel. 5150s from Dow. Those are really nice, efficient, long flight time prop. Doesn't draw a lot of amps out of your battery, and you can get 4 minutes with this type of prop. If you want to go beastier, you can use something like the I believe this is the numbers here, the T5047Cs. These are the spanking new design from Dow Prop right now. They're a little thicker cord in the middle, a little narrower toward the center, and really nice and sharp out at the end. Not quite as sharp as these, but these do perform quite nice and quiet, but they also have a ton more punch, and they're going to draw a little more power out of your battery. You're going to get a little less flight time, but more punch out, if that's what you're looking for. The next prop that I've tested and I'm going to recommend for you guys is something new from Azure Power. This is the Race and Freestyle prop. Decent looking props, and I love all the candy that they're releasing. They have some really cool colors. They sent me a whole giant box of these to try for you guys, but very cool looking prop. I would say medium pitch on these. They're all connected flush with the center of the hub. Some props will rise above the hub a little bit, like the Dow prop does here, and these are fairly flush. They rise up just a little bit above the hub, but they perform way better than the Azure props that I had the last go around. I believe they were the version 2 or version 3s. These are just a little lower pitch and more narrow tips than what I've seen them do before. A bit wide right here, but a really long, narrow, skinnier part. It makes it a little more efficient freestyle prop, and also a very, very fast racing prop if you want it. But I do like the low pitch design versus the really high pitch stuff like Racecraft used to do, because Racecraft are notorious for sort of killing your batteries. But one of the other big pros and the flying capability of this quad is that it does perform quite well in the field. It turns on a dime, so I would say this is more of a race quad than a freestyle quad. It has really fast, maneuverable, tight turns and really fast acceleration with these motors. The motors are probably the secret sauce of this particular design, and the classic Omnibus F4 on board. So a very, very nice setup. Overall, I think we have a decent quad here, and I would say it's worth the $239. It's just a little better quality than something like the SkyStars quads or the eSheen quads go. All right, guys, let's go ahead and do a weigh-in. I have the scale on. Let's just set it on there and get a dry weight going. 326 grams. That is fairly light. So this is almost falls into the ultralight category. Anywhere close to 300 grams is really light for a 5-inch race quad. Now we're going to set the 4S 1300 on there, and that'll be your total takeoff weight with props on, under 500 grams. So it is very close to the ultralight category with the battery on there. Total takeoff weight 490 with the 4S 1300. Let's set the 5S 1300 on there from Venom, right at 500 grams. So not too bad with a 5S battery. If you want to get the maximum performance, this is the battery that I would choose for this particular quad. Fly this quad on 5S and you will absolutely love it. It is an awesome ripper. But this is the Meteor 5 on their website, and it's hobbymate.com. You can check them out. You can go through all the specs and look at it for yourself. It does say the 6063 aluminum alloy cage, which is really nice. Plenty of camera protection on this quad. There is a nice cage up front. I do like that micro cage that they have going here. And the 35 amp ESC seems to be just fine for 5S. I probably wouldn't run this one on 6S. Like I said, unless you want to email HOBBYMATE and ask them about all the components on here. Definitely don't want to fry your quad you waited to come in the mail for. So $239.90. Let's go ahead and talk about a star rating for this particular quad. And by the way, yeah, we have another quad coming up from HOBBYMATE to review for you guys. I have the COMET 5 as well, and it says that one's out of stock on the website right now. That's not good. That is interesting. But let's just check out the price on that one anyway while we're looking at it together. And let's see, maybe they don't have a price on it. They do not. But yeah, that's the COMET 5, and that was one of the first quads that I got from them. The first quad they sent me over was not ready to be flown. There was some issues with it, and they really quickly had this one all set up perfect for me, and they sent this one out the same week, actually. So I think they're really easy to communicate with. I like that, and I think that's 5 stars from me for communication to a Chinese company. I mean, you don't want to buy from a company that's not going to answer your emails back. So HOBBYMATE is a relatively smaller company, and they're very interested to make nice things for us. So I think that's a company that we can trust out of China, and I want to say thumbs up for the communication with me. They sent me a ton of emails to get this video going for you guys, and they were really supportive when I had questions. So that's something to be said. But I think that the frame they did is a very classic sort of thin stretch etch design, X design, and they have a lot of the most current things on here that we want. So overall design rating would be about a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Overall rating for this particular quad, in my case, I'm going to say is about a 4.5. Fun factor was 5 out of 5, definitely. And the durability is a 5 out of 5. These 5mm arms, you're not likely to break, but if you do, you can get parts from them. You can replace one arm at a time, which is also nice. A lot of quads these days have that. So a very nice looking quad, and I think it's probably one of the ones that look more like a sports car than what I've had on the channel in the last couple of weeks. So yeah, one of the better looking ones that I now own. So please do comment down below and get entered to win the Tiny Hawk. And I will, good luck, and I will see you on the next one, guys. Take care. Happy holidays, everybody, and happy FPV.